All right, so before I go into the Unit-Test-A-Thon, let me give you a little bit of a background. So first of all, what is HADES? HADES stands for the Health Analytics Data to Evidence Suite. Uh, that is a collection of R packages that are actually used in almost all of our Odyssey studies. These packages can run directly against data in the OMAP Common Data Model. And from that data, they basically go all the way up to like the output is like using cutting edge analytics to create visualizations, tables, whatever you need in your paper, for example. It's also important to note that this is developed by the community for the community, so it's fully open source, and a lot of people are chipping in to expand and maintain HADES. So what are unit tests? Well, unit tests are code to test other code. In theory, if you have like an R function, the idea is that you can test whether given some input, you get a certain output. What is always important to realize is that often depends on some external factors that we also need to take into account, like the operating system that you're running it on or the database platform. So it's actually can be quite complicated to test that. This is very abstract, just to flash some code on the screen. This is an example of an actual unit test in HADES. As you can see, it is just a small snippet of code that here in the end aims to just test a certain scenario on the match on PS function. But you don't need to understand, just so you know, it's not magical. It's just code to test code. So why do we use unit tests in Odyssey? Well, first of all, we're using R, and R actually is a bit of a nuisance in that most of the coding problems won't show until you're actually running the code, like typos in the code or wrong arguments or wrong types of values don't show until you actually test it. So you actually need to test the code. But also a more general reason why you need a unit test is to handle what are called edge cases. And like a typical edge case is that if a particular cohort is empty, does the code actually handle that in a graceful manner, or does it throw mysterious error messages that people don't understand? Also, a important use case is to keep code fixed. So if somebody, like if a user goes through all the trouble of finding a problem, reporting the problem, and then somebody fixes the problem, we want to make sure that in future iterations of the software, that problem stays fixed. So you write a unit test that covers that problem to make sure that whenever the problem were to reoccur, we would immediately be notified. But for me, the most important reason why we want unit tests is validation. So we use these analytics to generate evidence that needs to be reliable. So we need to make sure that the code actually does what it's supposed to do. And so a lot of the unit tests are specifically aimed at making sure that the code does what it's supposed to do. Now, how do you know if you have enough unit tests? Because you could keep going on writing them. One crude measure that's being used is coverage. It's the percentage of the lines of code in your software that is hit by one or more tests. And it actually is, the nice thing about it is it's computed automatically whenever somebody pushes a change to GitHub. So if you make a change, automatically this triggers running all of the unit tests that have been created, and automatically we get a report that tells you how much how many of the lines were covered. And actually, you can see that on all of our package websites. You have this mysterious badge that says code cov, in this case 81%. So 81% of the lines of codes in the Self-Plot case series package are covered by unit tests. All right, so now you know what HADES is and what a unit test is. So we decided to organize a unit test-a-thon. This was a Odyssey event where for 3 days the Odyssey community came together to write unit tests because we needed a lot more. And the aim was to get the coverage for all HADES packages to above 80%, just as to have something to aim for. But also a secondary aim was not just to have more unit tests, which in itself is a good thing, but also to introduce more people to the HADES code because it's open source. Everybody can contribute to it, and everybody can work on it. And unit test writing is actually a nice first step that can introduce you to working on the code in a way that's like not threatening, maybe, because it's hard to break something. And then once you've done that, maybe you can progress to other things as well. So one of the things that we created this small dashboard that I'm showing you here, just to show you already what the result was. So on the left-hand side here, you see all of the HADES packages that we currently have. And then you see in the first column after that, the start coverage. So that was the coverage when we started the unit test-a-thon. And then after that, the column that shows the coverage after the unit test-a-thon was finished. And green marks all of the packages that are now at or above 80% coverage. As I said, that was sort of a goal that we had. And you see that we were really successful in getting to that goal. There were 3 packages that were just hard to write tests for that we don't have yet 80% coverage, but everything else we now do. And so that's actually a great improvement, and will certainly improve the reliability of the Odyssey software stack. But I think one of the biggest successes, and I must confess, a much bigger success than I had expected beforehand, was just the sheer number of people that were willing to join. And so I'm showing here what I think are all 32 active participants. I looked carefully to see who did what, but so these should be all of the participants, and my apologies if I missed a name here. All of these people actually joined for 3 days and did a lot of work and worked together really well. And I'm just, I'm genuinely proud of what they achieved and very thankful for all their contributions. So certainly a great success, if you ask me. Just because shouldn't be just me talking, I also invited 2 persons to that participated in the unit test-a-thon to give a bit of a perspective on how they perceived the unit test-a-thon, what they got out of that, and well, basically a little bit about what their experiences were. So Hina and Adam Black, I asked them to give you a short reflection. So Hina, are you there?
Yes, hi everyone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've joined Peter's team at Erasmus Medical Center like few months back. So I'm pretty new to Odyssey community and also to the HADES packages. So the reason I joined this unit test-a-thon was just to learn more about these packages because I'm working on my own R package as well. So I have not done unit testing in R before. So for me, it was like, okay, let's do this and let's see how it's done, and it would be a good learning opportunity. And when I started initially, to be honest, I just felt a bit intimidated that, oh my God, I'm in among such experienced developers and everybody's so experienced with writing R packages, and I might embarrass myself being here. But I think on the second day, I just got the hang of it, and I think I had a great time, and I sticked till the day 3. Initially, I only opted for 2 days, but in the end, I ended up working on the 3rd day as well, and I think I really, really enjoyed it because of the whole learning thing, because it was all new for me. But I think it was great to learn that how unit tests are done. I've done unit testing in other languages, but not in R before. It also gave a great opportunity to know more about the package that our team was working on. And I think it was a new experience for me to work in a collaborative environment, also to work within a team, and we were sharing code. and the GitHub was also new to me. So for overall, on a personal level, I thought it was a great opportunity for people like me who've not done this before, to just, it was a quick way of, it was like a shortcut to learn quickly this stuff. And I think for the hardest packages also, it was in the end a success that, we've seen that most of the packages did get a lot of improvement. So yeah, I think it was a great learning experience, and I think while we were writing the unit tests, I think mostly we were focused on the coverage initially, but eventually we did try to write some more meaningful tests which can do more logical testing. But in the end, I believe that even if some tests were focused on the coverage, and even if we were able to improve just the coverage, that's also very useful, because now you know that all of your lines of code have been executed and the code is not breaking anywhere. Because sometimes if a part of code has never been tested or never been executed, then there's always a chance that code might be breaking somewhere and you don't know about it. So even I think just improving the coverage itself is great, but I think that tests were a bit meaningful as well, and doing some logical testing also.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just so everybody knows, so Hina and her team worked on empirical calibration. It's a package that at the start had basically no coverage, and in the end it ended up with 91.2%.
Yes.
So that certainly is a massive improvement of a important package. So I'm glad you learned, and also glad that you got to contribute so much to Hades. Thank you.
Yes. I'm very happy that we ended up with the most improvement, and so yeah.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so next up, I wanted to ask Adam Black if he could tell a little bit about his experiences. Adam, are you there?
Yes. Yeah, thanks, Martijn. So for me, it was a great privilege to work with the team as part of the test-a-thon. We worked on our Odyssey Web API, feature extraction, and even spawned another rogue team that took on cohort diagnostics. So going into the test-a-thon, I was somewhat comfortable with the Hades packages, with R programming. I've been joining the Hades work group for this year, and so I was somewhat comfortable with that aspect of it, but was not so comfortable with GitHub Actions. That had been sort of confounding to me. So by the end of the test-a-thon, I was much more comfortable with the GitHub Actions workflow and how we were testing against the Odyssey databases, and we had set up a Web API test instance as well. Some of the things that I learned, one was just the importance of test coverage. So Martijn did a good job of explaining sort of why we need test coverage. And a lot of the tests that we were writing was just like try to execute the code under the best of circumstances, and where everything is sort of where you know everything, you have your instance set up. So I think there is a relationship between how difficult it is to write a test for a package and how difficult it is to use the package, because essentially you're trying to kind of make use of the package. So, for packages or tests that are difficult to write, there's probably a correlation there with how difficult those functions are to use. Another thing, I guess, was like the integration between Hades and Atlas, since I was working on this package that links up R and Web API. So I learned a little bit more about Web API and all the dangerous things you can do when you can programmatically hit Web API from R, including just inundate it with execution requests until your server crashes. So that was really interesting, and a couple other things were just the power that we have working as a team. Like I feel like the progress that we can make as a group, and also that I can make individually, was so much greater working in a team with other people in Odyssey. I was picking up ideas from some of my team members, and the pace was just so much faster. Also, the importance of building a developer community. So I think this is one of the big things that came out of this was just getting to know some of the other people who are interested in working on Hades, building those relationships, and I think that's a really core strength that we built on over the 3 days, was just building this community, and I hope that it continues. I think there's still a lot more that we can do with improving testing. But we made great progress, and really proud of the work that I was able to contribute and my team was able to contribute. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Yep. So yeah. So once again, yeah, thanks everybody for joining in the Unit-Test-A-Thon. I'm really exceeded my expectation what we achieved in the 3 days, and it was very cool to see so many people working together and really achieving a lot as a community. So thanks.